Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through stats of information to bring you the most uh, essential and fascinating insights. Today, we're really getting into something fundamental. It's about that connection, the one between your gut health and, well, your mental state. It's huge.
Oh, absolutely. It's something researchers are talking about more and more.
Exactly. Our sources, they highlight these studies showing a real link, between an imbalance in your gut microbiome, that whole ecosystem in there, and things like depression, anxiety. It's not just a feeling anymore. A healthy gut really does seem to be a cornerstone for a healthy mind.
It makes intuitive sense too, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, often you hear nutritionists talk about a 12-hour daily fast for gut health.
Right. The idea being to give your digestive system a proper break, let it recover.
Precisely. A sound idea. But let's be honest here. For most of us, trying to stick to that 12-hour window every single day,
That's tough.
it is tough. It feels like a really strict diet. It's hard to maintain. Life gets in the way.
Yeah, it's easy to fall off the wagon with something that rigid.
Totally. It often feels unsustainable. You feel a bit defeated, maybe. But what if there was another way? Something gentler, maybe, but still really powerful for rejuvenating body and mind.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's called the mini reset. Dr. Conchita Vidalis, a nutritionist we looked at, she really likes this approach, calls it a favorite.
Interesting.
She says it can deliver effects comparable to fasting, even if you only do it, say, once a month.
Once a month. That sounds much more manageable.
Right. It's not about harsh restriction. It's more about strategic nourishment. So that's our mission today. We're going to unpack what this mini reset actually is, explore the benefits, and, importantly, figure out how you can potentially integrate it into your life.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Ready to find maybe a simpler path? Let's unpack this.
Okay, so what is this mini reset? I think what's great is how simple the core idea is. Irene Dominguez from Clinica Palaciae describes it pretty clearly. It's basically a short period, like maybe 1 day, maybe up to 3 days. And during that time, you just focus on eating light foods, things that are really easy to digest.
So the goal isn't zero food, like a fast.
Exactly. The main point isn't starving yourself. It's giving your digestive system a bit of a holiday, a chance to rest, repair, recover from all the work it normally does.
Like a little vacation for your gut. I like that.
Yeah. And Dr. Vidales adds a bit more on the why it works. She explains that when you significantly cut back on your usual food intake, your body kind of shifts gears. Instead of constantly processing new food, it starts using its own stored energy, its own calories.
Okay, so it's tapping into reserves.
Right. And this does more than just burn fat. It actually kicks off a deeper process. Autophagy? Heard of that?
I have, yeah. Cell cleanup, basically.
Exactly. Your cells start breaking down and recycling old, worn-out parts. It's like an internal spring clean. And during this, your body gets really good at getting rid of waste products, toxins.
Wow. Okay, so it's deeper than just digestion.
Much deeper. It's happening at a cellular level.
So the big question then, what can you actually eat if it's not a full fast?
Right, good question. And Laura Jorge, another expert we looked at, gives some great advice here. She says, definitely avoid the slow digesting stuff.
Like what? Heavy meats?
Yeah.
Processed foods?
Yeah, exactly. Things that take a lot of work to break down. But, and this is key, you don't need to cut out solid food entirely.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she actually says that eating easily digestible solids can help reduce bloating, makes the whole thing feel better.
Yeah, so what kind of solids are we talking about?
Well, Dominguez suggests things like vegetable soups, green smoothies, really gentle hydrating options. And if you feel you need a bit more substance, maybe some easily chewable protein. Like white fish is a good example.
Light and easy. That seems to be the theme.
That's the core idea. Don't make your body work hard during this time.
Got it. What about drinks? Just water?
Hydration is super important. Francisco Moreno, another nutritionist from Palaciae, really stresses drinking plenty of water or maybe some herbal tea. But here's a neat tip he gives. Drink it with meals, but in small sips.
Small sips. Why is that?
It helps digestion during this later eating phase. Doesn't overwhelm your system while it's trying to rest. Just keeps things comfortable and effective.
That makes sense. Small sips, gentle foods. It's all about easing the load.
Exactly. Strategic rest.
It really is remarkable, isn't it, how these simple adjustments can trigger such, well, profound internal processes. It's not about deprivation at all.
No, it's about smart support for your body.
So, okay, we get better digestion, the cellular cleanup. What else? What are the other benefits of doing a mini reset? Francisco Moreno, you mentioned him. He breaks them down.
Yeah, he outlines both short-term and long-term advantages, and they're pretty compelling.
All right, let's do the short-term ones first. What might you notice fairly quickly?
Okay, first off, energy. Lots of people report feeling a real energy boost.
Ah, the post-meal slump avoidance.
Exactly. Your body isn't pouring all its resources into heavy digestion, so that energy's freed up. You feel lighter, sharper.
I can see that. What else?
Mental clarity is another big one. That feeling of like brain fog lifting, focus improving.
Yeah, that mental lightness.
Mm-hmm. And third, potentially improved immune function. Again, it's about resource allocation. Less energy on digestion means more available for immune defense.
Okay, so more energy, clearer thinking, maybe a stronger immune system. Pretty good for just a day or two of lighter eating.
Right. Pretty immediate payoffs.
But you said there are long-term benefits too. That sounds even more interesting.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really foundational. Marino talks about the potential for reducing systemic inflammation.
Which is linked to so many chronic issues.
Exactly. By giving your system regular breaks, encouraging that cellular repair, you're potentially reducing the load that can lead to chronic conditions over time.
So things like autoimmune issues, metabolic problems.
Potentially, yes. The idea is reducing the underlying stress and inflammation. He also mentions possible alleviation of insomnia.
Better sleep, that's huge.
Definitely. And just a general reduction in inflammation throughout the body. And maybe even, he suggests, an increase in overall feelings of happiness.
Wow. Reduced disease risk, better sleep, less inflammation, more happiness. That's quite a list.
It really paints a picture of profound long-term well-being, doesn't it?
It really does. Just think about that. How those changes could impact your quality of life. It's giving your body the space to heal itself, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So this all sounds great, but the practical side. How often should you, the listener, actually be thinking about doing this? Is it once a month, like Dr. Vidal suggested?
That's a really important question. And Dr. Vidal gives some flexible options, which is nice. For just general upkeep, kind of keeping things running smoothly, she suggests maybe simpler, shorter resets more often, like maybe once a week or a few times a month.
Okay, like a regular little tune-up.
Exactly. But if you want a bigger impact, a more noticeable reset, she suggests a longer period, maybe around 5 days, done once a month.
5 days. That feels like a bigger commitment.
It is, yeah. It allows for a deeper rejuvenation. But Laura Jorge, she brings in a note of caution on duration, especially for the more typical mini reset.
Right, she mentioned 1 to 3 days.
Yeah. She advises keeping it generally within that 1 to 3 day window. Her point is that this isn't meant as a long-term diet or a weight loss strategy.
Got it.
Sticking to that shorter time frame helps avoid potential downsides like nutritional deficiencies. You get the benefits without the risks. It's meant to be a short, targeted intervention.
Strategic and safe. Okay.
Aye.
What about tailoring it? Does it matter who you are?
Yes. Francisco Moreno adds some really interesting nuances here. His general baseline is once a month.
Okay.
But he says, consider your own diet, your lifestyle, and importantly, for women, consider your menstrual cycle.
Oh, how so?
For women who are fertile, he actually recommends timing the mini reset with ovulation.
Why ovulation?
Because typically, energy levels in estrogen are higher then. It might make the reset feel easier, more comfortable, maybe even more effective because your body's naturally in a more robust phase.
That's fascinating. Really tuning into the body's rhythms.
Exactly. And for menopausal women and for men, the recommendation is simpler. About once every 4 weeks seems like a good rhythm.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all prescription.
Definitely not. It's about finding what works with your individual biology.
I love that. It really highlights that health is personal, isn't it? It's not just following rigid rules. Now, inevitably, people will compare this mini reset to, well, fasting, traditional fasting.
Sure. There's an overlap in the goal.
Right. Both are trying to give the digestive system that rest period, that recovery time. That's the common ground.
Digestive rest is key to both.
But the differences are pretty major, aren't they? And that seems crucial for why this might work for more people.
Absolutely fundamental differences.
True fasting, strictly speaking,
Yeah.
means no calories at all, right? Solid or liquid. It's complete abstinence.
Correct. 0 caloric intake, which is, let's face it, really challenging.
Yeah. Whereas the mini reset, it allows food, specific food, but still food.
Exactly. You're still consuming easy to digest things, fruits, vegetables, maybe those light proteins we mentioned. It's strategic nourishment, not deprivation. It supports the body gently while still enabling that cleansing process.
And what does that mean for actually doing it? For you, the listener.
Well, Laura Jorge puts it plainly. The mini reset is just significantly easier to practice than intermittent fasting for most people.
Easier means more likely to stick with it.
Precisely. It's more sustainable. It lowers that barrier to entry, making these kinds of benefits accessible to more people who find strict fasting just too difficult or disruptive.
Yeah, I can see that. And this leads to another important point, especially for anyone who has tried more intense fasting. Our sources mention that sometimes long-term or extreme intermittent fasting, it can backfire a bit.
It can, yeah. If it's not well suited to your body or done too intensely for too long, it can actually put the body under stress.
How would that show up?
You might see things like increased cortisol, maybe even an inflammatory response, or just sharp drops in energy, feeling shaky, signals that your system is finding it too taxing.
Okay, so if that happens,
Yeah.
if you experience that with intense dieting or fasting,
The advice is pretty clear. Stop the extreme approach, let your body recover, and then consider trying the mini reset instead.
as a gentler alternative.
Exactly. It's positioned as a more supportive, sustainable way to get similar cleansing and restorative benefits, but without that potential harsh toll. It really comes back to listening to your body's signals.
That seems like incredibly important advice. Listen to your body, don't push through negative signals.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap then. The mini reset, it sounds like this gentler, more accessible way to boost gut health and overall well-being. A really viable alternative to tougher fasting methods, making it potentially more sustainable and empowering for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think empowering is a good word because this deep dive, it's not just about facts and figures. It's about giving you a practical tool, something you can use for rejuvenation that works with your body's processes without feeling like punishment.
Right.
So maybe take a moment to think about what part of this resonated with you. How could you maybe incorporate some aspect of this gentle approach, even starting small?
Yeah, maybe just one day, or focusing on those easier to digest foods more often.
Yeah.
And just as we finish up, here's a final thought to maybe mull over. Sometimes the biggest wins in our health don't actually come from the most extreme efforts, not from punishing ourselves or feeling constantly deprived. Maybe they come from something simpler. Giving our bodies these well-timed breaks,
Yeah.
giving them the right kind of gentle nourishment, supporting their natural ability to heal.
It's a nice thought. Less struggle, more support.
Exactly. So consider this.
Yeah.
What if simplifying your health journey, instead of always trying to make it harder or more complicated, is actually the real key? The key to finally feeling your absolute best.